Forgiveness. Forgiveness is a process of giving up the old for something new. Old experiences and memories that we hold on to in anger, resentment, shame, or guilt cloud our spirit mind. They take us into judgment of right and wrong, good and bad. These thoughts take us away from the truth. Forgiveness means giving up for a change. When you give up your judgments of people and experiences, your mind is changed by the truth. When you give up your judgments of people and experiences, your mind is changed by the truth. The truth is, everything that has happened had to happen. It was a growth experience. There was something you needed to know or learn. If you stay angry, hurt, afraid, ashamed, or guilty, you'll miss the lesson. You'll be stuck in a cloud of pain. Black men have a great deal of pain that you cannot process intellectually. It's an ancestral pain. It is alive in your DNA. It is alive in the marrow of your bones. Many of you were conceived in pain. We were all born in pain. Many of you lived through pain to grow up in pain. You can't cry about what hurts you. It's not manly to cry. Because your pain runs so deep, you may not know what hurts, but it is there. Your pain got you fired from that last job. Your pain encourages you to snort, to sell, or shoot drugs and to drink alcohol. Your pain makes you leave your children, beat your wife, and hate your father. How did you process the pain? How do you express your pain? All emotions, even psychological and emotional pain, are the normal human reaction to experiences we cannot expect, we cannot interpret. When the mind receives data, the body will respond in some way. As children, many black men were taught not to cry out in pain, not to strike out in anger, not to speak out in indignation. In effect, you were taught to suppress your emotions. It's not natural to suppress your emotions. When you do, your mind takes over. The intellect will find a way to control what you feel. In order to do so, the brain waves become flat. They are suppressed. The voice becomes a monotone. You must remain tightly under control and not express your emotions. When you suppress emotions, you've suppressed your power. Once you start suppressing what you feel, you can't stop. You must stay in control. You cannot run the risk of exploding, letting it all out. External and internal disempowerment is painful. Your emotional responses are usually right on target. If someone infringes on your personal space, disempowers you, the response is probably anger. As a child, you were not encouraged or allowed to express anger, so you suppressed it. When someone slapped your face, powdered your behind, took your toys, the emotional response was pain or fear. Children are told not to cry when they're spanked. They learn to suppress pain. Unfortunately, what our parents did not understand is that there is an appropriate response to all emotions. There are times when you must act them out, should act them out, and times when you should not. Children learn to use their minds to control what they feel. They develop alternative behaviors and responses. They have to find a way to escape what they feel, or it will cause them more pain and disapproval. Another key issue many parents do not recognize is that every emotion has a complement or opposite side. The opposite of pain is sensitivity. The opposite of anger is passion. When you suppress pain, you suppress psychological and emotional sensitivity. To be sensitive is to be kind and courteous, to have empathy. In how many instances are black men accused of being insensitive to the needs of others, particularly women? You're not insensitive. You're suppressing pain. When you suppress anger, you suppress passion. Passion is the ability to experience excitement, joy, intensity. Passion gives you the ability to take emotional risks without the fear of dying. Some black men shy away from intense emotional situations. You're then accused of being irresponsible and unable to commit. You are suppressing generations of anger. I imagine it is quite difficult to trust yourself to get excited about very much. Instead, you live in fear of exploding and experiencing shameful pain when you do. Instead, you live in fear of exploding and experiencing shameful pain when you do. Forgiveness is the spiritual pain reliever. Without making anyone wrong or beating up on yourself, you can forgive. Most of us believe that when we forgive others, we're excusing their behaviors. In some way, we think that to forgive is to admit that what has happened is all right. Quite contrary. Forgiveness moves you out of the way and opens the way for divine justice to prevail. It takes the responsibility off of your shoulders, particularly when the focus of your anger is no longer around. Spirit can find anybody, anywhere that person happens to be. When you forgive, you clear your mental and emotional airwaves so that you can get on with your life. God knows who is accountable for what, and in the end, no matter what they did to you, they will have to answer for it. Remember when you were a small child and the big kids chased you home or harassed you? Remember saying to them, "I'm going to tell my daddy or my big brother on you." You knew that your daddy could beat them when you could not. You knew they were afraid of your big brother. When you forgive, you are in effect saying, "I'm going to tell my daddy on you." In this case, your daddy is God. Understanding. Understanding is not really an action, it's a reward. It is an emotional and spiritual awareness that creates a shift of energy in your mind, body, and spirit. Understanding is the reward for conscious acceptance of spirit, diligent acknowledge of spirit, and willing surrender to spirit. Understanding is revelation of truth. It is the ability to see beyond the physical manifestations, which are very often quite convincing, to the activity of spirit and spiritual practices. Another word for understanding is integration. When you can integrate the affairs of the world with the truth of spiritual principle, you can gain understanding. To the degree that you acknowledge and accept the active presence of spirit, you will gain a deeper understanding of the experiences in your life. So often we struggle to understand, trying to make sense of events, the actions of other people, and in some cases our own thoughts and emotions. Understanding escapes us because we use the rational mind to evaluate the truth. Truth requires discernment, the ability to see beyond the thing in front of you and stand in the truth of what it is. All people, all experiences are the activity of spirit. Spirit teaching, spirit healing, spirit trying to get your attention. Spiritual understanding is not like intellectual understanding. Chemistry requires intellectual understanding. You need to know the formula and the elements of the formula. You need to know which formulas you can mix together and which you cannot. With that knowledge, you're probably pretty well equipped to make new formulas. Spiritual understanding requires courage, trust, and faith. On the spiritual path, understanding often comes after a test of faith. Your willingness, commitment, level of trust, and belief in the principles of spirit are going to be tested by your experiences in life. Once you make it through the faith test, you have a greater awareness of your connection to God. You develop a greater sense of wellness and well-being. The experiences and the test take on meaning. It is then that you develop understanding. The road to understanding has one major pothole. You must be willing to tell the truth to yourself about yourself. You must be able to accept what you do before you can gain an understanding of why you do it. When you are headed for understanding, the response to what you discover about yourself will either be, oh boy, or oh shit. It's called clarity. Clarity is a telltale sign that understanding is right around the corner. Once you see the truth, accept it. Acceptance of truth is the path to healing. Understanding is the reward of your willingness to heal. Commitment. When you can focus on what you want and not be swayed by toxic emotions, negative people, or testing circumstances, you are committed. On the way to what you want, if you fall down, bump your head, and get up only to fall down again, bump your head, and burst your bottom lip, and you're still not discouraged, you are committed. When you fall down, bump your head, burst your lip, and stand up in front of a group of negaholics who are pointing and laughing at you because someone stole your car or your wallet under the front seat, and still not be discouraged, you are committed. When you know what you want and are willing to admit it to yourself and the world at the risk of being called a fool, you have a commitment. Responsibility. The word responsibility is synonymous with power. It is the only way to take power psychologically, emotionally, and spiritually. It is the only way to have power psychologically, emotionally, and spiritually. When you take total responsibility for everything that is going on in your life, you have the power to change those things that you do not like. When you take charge, you make your life different in response to what you decide you want. You make the conscious choice. You're no longer a victim. You now have the power to say no to conditions that do not suit you. Responsibility is the willingness to do something about what is going on or not going on in your life. Fatherhood is the big issue encountered when the talk turns to black men and responsibility. How can so many black men father children and walk away? How can they relinquish responsibility for the children they co-create? I spoke to hundreds of men about this issue. It was a frightening experience. I encountered some bewilderment, some lame excuses, and a great deal of blame and anger. I didn't want to have a baby. She just had that baby to trap me. She told me she was on the pill. I can barely take care of myself. How am I going to take care of a kid? She had the baby. I told her to have an abortion. It's her responsibility. My response in most cases was blunt and to the point. Brother, it is your penis. It is your responsibility to cover it up. At its core, responsibility is the ability to respond to the consequences of your choices and actions. You have the power to make choices. The only way to experience your power is to examine the choices and possible consequences, and then choose those actions that will create the outcome you desire. I had another experience when exploring this issue with my brothers. It was a sense of fear of being overwhelmed. I am in no way making excuses for men who sire and abandon their children. I do believe, however, that the historical, psychological, and physical disempowerment of black men has created a tremendous amount of fear. The fear of being wrong and then being criticized for it. The fear of losing and being abandoned. The fear of not doing it right and being shot down. Fear is rooted in the belief that you're powerless. In contrast, being a father, having the ability to produce life, to recreate yourself, is a powerful act. I can imagine that the biological act of fatherhood is overwhelming to a person who has been psychologically stripped of personal power. Some black men probably believe there's no way I can stick around to be a father. The emotional risk is too great. In response, before they can be shot down, made to feel wrong or inadequate again, they abandon a piece of their spirit. In San Diego, there are 2 programs for teen parents, one for the mothers and one for the fathers. In the program for teen mothers, there were 507 participants. There were 38 teen fathers in the other program. The idea of what it means to be a man in this society has nothing to do with caregiving, nurturing, and in many ways, responsibility for others. Men are taught to do whatever is necessary to survive. In some instances, they're taught to do what is easy. It's always easier to walk away than to change diapers, walk the floor at night, and give up your last dollar for a quart of milk. There are very few guideposts in life that teach black men how to be men. There are even fewer that teach them how to be fathers. I believe fathering is an instinct. However, I know that instincts must be developed with care and nurturing. Until you believe you have the power to make choices, you cannot respond to the choices you make with conscious ability. Until you assume responsibility for your choices and actions, you will not experience a sense of personal power. As a spiritual principle, responsibility is developed through the acknowledgement and acceptance of the presence of spirit in your life and through practices that strengthen the sense of connection to spirit. When you are consciously aware of spirit, you receive guidance when making choices. As your choices and the consequences of them become clear, your ability to respond is enhanced. Right action. Powerful people have tremendous will. The will to do, to be, to have, without the temperance of spiritual principle or purpose, is a demonstration of force. Again, the will to do, to be, to have, without the temperance of spiritual principle or purpose, is a demonstration of force. In a spiritual context, the will of the human being is the directive energy behind all thought and action and is based on the qualities of the character. Willful people are controlling people. When willful people cannot control, when they cannot have their way, they become resentful and angry. When you're angry and resentful, attempting to control people and situations, you cannot make right action. Right action requires balance of thought and emotions towards a clear intention. Intentions always equal results. Right action is the ability to demonstrate your grasp of all other spiritual principles, to move consciously toward an honorable goal with honorable intentions, embracing the principles of spirit as your foundation with willingness, and if necessary, surrendering your way to the way of divine order, is acting righteously. To move consciously towards an honorable goal with honorable intentions, embracing the principles of spirit as your foundation with willingness, and if necessary, surrendering your way to the way of divine order, is acting righteously. This does not mean that you have all of the information or resources you think you need. It means that you faithfully trust that your positive intentions will manifest positive results. Right action does not mean that you will not make mistakes, upset people, perhaps stumble, maybe fall flat on your face along the way. It means it's not your intention to harm or to fall. Should that happen, you're willing to surrender, not stop, but seek understanding and a deeper insight. Right action does not necessarily mean that you will become rich and famous. It means that whatever happens, you will accept the experience as an impetus of growth, not an excuse to stop, blame, or beat up on yourself. If your intentions are clear and good, right action will eventually manifest the result you desire. Your level of commitment will determine the degree of your patience as it relates to the right action. John Salyunik, the minister of a Unity Church in Philadelphia, taught me a powerful lesson about right action. John is a devoutly spiritual white man who conducts personal growth workshops. I took several of them because at the time I thought there was something seriously wrong with me. I was unemployed, between relationships, confused, and totally pissed off with God. Yes, that's right. We do get pissed off at God. Who else can you blame when there's no one else around? My intention in taking this workshop was to fix whatever was wrong with me. Of course, I didn't say that to anyone. It was a free workshop, so I said I wanted a deeper understanding of spiritual law and principles. Actually, I wanted to figure out why I stayed broke and how I could keep a man. John was teaching prosperity principles, and there were single, eligible men in the class. Besides, you never know how your lesson is going to show up. John saw right through me, but he never said a word. His intention was to provide people with the tools for healing. A person who is not telling the truth cannot be healed. I spent 10 weeks in the 12-week workshop. 2 weeks before graduation, John put me out. I had missed 2 meetings and had been late twice. One of the boundaries of the workshop was never to let anything be more important than the work you're doing on yourself. The work you do on yourself is the work you do for God, John told me. I was defying God. He told me I was wasting my talent and blessings that God had given me by holding on to old habits and belief patterns. It was true, but I was enraged. Right action presupposes that you will tell the truth about what you are doing and what you want. If not, your actions will not reap the benefits you desire. You cannot have a hidden agenda and take right action. You cannot have a hidden agenda and take right action. When your intentions are undeclared, it is the job of the universal truth fairy to burst you. Sometimes it will happen quietly in your own mind and heart. You will come to the realization that you are not doing the honorable thing for an honorable reason. If you act upon the revelation with confession and self-correction, you're absolved by grace. If, however, you're willful and continue to do your thing, believing you're fooling people, the spirit of life will embarrass you publicly. I got embarrassed, but in the process, I learned a powerful lesson. John taught me that there are 4 ways of playing the game of life: playing to win, playing not to win, playing not to lose, and playing to lose. Briefly stated, when you play to lose, you find excuses for not doing what you said you want to do. This is a demonstration of simple laziness. When you play not to lose, you do just enough to say you tried and enough to let others know that you're trying. However, what you do is not consistent or persistent, nor does it carry the level of commitment required to get you what you want. When you're trying, you're not doing. This is a demonstration of the fear of success and the fear of rejection. When you play not to win, you split your time, energy, and attention among too many things. You have difficulty completing what you start, but you always take on more to do. This is called overcommitment, which results in being scattered. It is a demonstration of low self-esteem, a lack of self-worth, and the belief that you do not deserve what you say you want. When you play to win, you give 100% of your time, energy, attention, resources, and commitment to a goal. You have a clear, unselfish intention and the commitment to keep it. You have a clear, unselfish intention, and the commitment to it keeps you focused. When you play to win, you give 100% of your time, energy, attention, resources, and commitment to a goal. You have a clear, unselfish intention, and the commitment to it keeps you focused. Playing to win is right action. It is recognition of and faith in the principle that will give you, that what you give will come back to you. Pressed down, shaken together, and pouring out. Luke 6:38. 10 times the amount that you gave. Playing to win is a right action. It is recognition of faith. It is recognition of and faith in the principle that what you give will come back to you, pressed down, shaken together, and pouring out. Luke 6:38. 10 times the amount that you gave. Stillness. To see the word stillness slows my hand, soothes my heart, and directs my mind. Stillness is the presence of God. You can experience it about 4 o'clock in the morning before the day gets busy. It is a state of quietness and oneness throughout the universe and within your being. Stillness is the art of not doing. It is faith in action, trust abounding, and belief turned into a tangible experience. It is making a decision and not judging yourself right or wrong, good or bad, because you know your Creator will love you anyway. Stillness is when you can be who you are, right where you are, and know there is a way out of no way. Stillness is when you can be who you are, right where you are, and know there is a way out of no way. When you have nowhere to turn, stillness is the realization that your help is now here. Conscious breathing results in stillness. Meditation is the art of stilling the mind. Learning how to be rather than what to do results in stillness of the ego, which breeds fear, doubt, anger, and the need to be in control. The ability to live in the moment, casting off past regrets and fear of the future, is an experience of stillness. Sleeping is a form of stillness. However, the required level of consciousness is not present when you sleep. Stillness is a conscious recognition of the presence and activity of God within your soul and the willingness to surrender all that you are to that presence. Daily minimum requirement. Learning to walk with spirit and walk in faith is like being a toddler learning to take those first steps. You must test your strength and build your spiritual muscles. To take a spiritual walk in faith means that there will be times when you will not act like a man. You will act like a clumsy, stumbling child of God, unable to stand on your own and figure out how your life is supposed to work. People may want to coach you or seduce you to take those first steps. They'll try to make you do things you're not ready to do, not strong enough to do. In those times, you must hold on to spirit, standing up only when you know that you are ready. Then, begin by taking small baby steps, one at a time. If you stand up or step out before you're ready, chances are you will fall and hurt yourself. A fall can make you give up. If you truly want to transform your life, you must stand in faith, step out in faith, and hold on to faith. When you're ready to begin the transformation process, remember, the first step is always the hardest one to take. Ask yourself every single day, am I happy with my life just as it is? Also ask, am I willing to do more, be more, and feel more? If you are willing, you may want to use the following exercise to begin your spiritual transformation. Using the spiritual transformation chart, you can begin to incorporate and practice the principles listed in daily activities. Select one principle that relates to where you are and what you want to manifest in your life. Write the principle, the affirmation, and the keyword on an index card. Carry the card with you throughout the day. As you interact with others, incorporate the essential meaning of the principle into your thought process and behavior. Repeat the affirmation 3 to 5 times throughout the day. Keep the keyword in a place where you can see it to remind yourself of your daily goal. Work with the selected principle for 7 consecutive days before moving on to another principle. Ashe. Okay, brothers and sisters, if you're listening, I made copies of the pages of the chart of the spiritual transformation principles. And I'll make a separate video of the principles so that you can refer to it without having to listen to all of those pages, okay? So, thank you very much for allowing me to bring you this message. Readings from The Spirit of a Man by IYANLA VANZANT. Pages 49 through 58. Thank you so much for allowing me to share these messages, this beautiful work with you, this work of transformation. And I'd appreciate it if you would be so kind as to share these messages with other brothers and sisters so that we can all benefit from this beautiful work. Thank you again, IYANLA VANZANT. Thank you again to my godfather, Babalao, Steve Lloyd. And thank you to all of my subscribers. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And thank you again. Keep doing the work. I love you all. Ashe. Namaste. Peace.